it, but since this is my first class, I figure why not? Let's give it a try and see what you guys think of it. So I have a poll that I'd like to start off with, just to, before I introduce myself. Well, I'm Christine. I'm the owner of Elevate Candles. And before we do the poll, I just wanted to do some housekeeping here. So if you have a question, just use the icons below to kind of just flag me as I'm going through the process, or just unmute yourself and say, hey, Christine, I got a question. This is going to be interactive, and I want this to be fun as well. So I don't know where everyone is from right now, but I'm happy that you've joined. Does anyone have any questions as far as using Zoom? I think we're all good. Okay, perfect. All right, I see an okie dokie. All right, I love chats too. So please, if you tend to be a little bit more introverted and you prefer chat, totally get that. I'm a mixture of both, so I do both sometimes. So, all right. So the first of all is I'm going to go ahead and just launch a quick poll here because I'm curious. I'm curious about why you're here, and what you want to learn. Disclaimer, this is just a basic candle making session. We're not going to go into like a deep dive because there's so much to cover, right? So I wanted to know, have you made candles before? Why did you join today's session? And then some of the answers here: are you looking for a hobby, considering it a business? You just love candles and you want to learn how to make your own. And then the third one is, what's your favorite type of candle scent? I'm curious. Wow, I'm seeing floral and fresh. One person's kind of done that, so thank you. So far that's winning. Any questions? I heard someone unmute. All right, we'll give that a whirl. Love it. Thank you. Very helpful. Awesome. All right, we'll give it a minute or so. Let me know if for any reason you cannot hear me. I have the earpiece in, so I'm using the earpiece, and hopefully you can hear me. All right. And I have some people in the waiting room, so let me do that. Okay, for those of you that just were admitted to the candle making session, we had some technical difficulties. That's expected. This is the first candle class virtually, so give me some grace. But
Okay,
we have
Vanessa, my thing started. Can you turn it down?
Hello?
Sorry, guys.
No, no worries. So if you could stay muted unless you have a question, it really helps as I'm trying to manage the class, but please unmute if you have any questions because this is going to be interactive. So for those of you that just joined, my name is Christine. I am the owner of Elevate Candles. And right now what we're doing is just a poll because I'm curious. I've been curious about, why people signed up for the class. Maybe some of you are already candle makers. Maybe you already have your own business and you're just curious to see like what other candle makers are doing. I'll tell you this, the candle market is so huge and large that there's room for all of us. So I don't mind sharing information. I won't give you my trade secrets, of course, my Vela Bay secrets, but I don't mind sharing because I think that's how we grow. That's how I learned as a candle maker when I started this business about 2 years ago. And it's been a journey. So I've learned from lots of other candle makers and candle making businesses. And really what I love to do is I love to not only make the candles, but I like to have interaction and do sessions actually in person. So today's class, we're going to talk about some of the basics. If you're new to candle making, if you're not new, you've probably heard this before. And then as we go through that, I'm going to show you some of the supplies. So I don't know if you guys are just watching this and don't have your supplies available. but that's also one of the reasons why it was free, because it's up to you to get the ingredients and the components that you need. However, I have components here and you can watch me make the candle. You can ask me as I'm making the candle, like, why are you doing this? I'll answer your question. So let me see if I have any other people left to join. I think we're good. We've got a lot of people, so that's exciting. And thank you again. I'm really happy that you're here. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and let's see what the results are. Okay. So for the first one, let's see. Have you made candles before? Yes. Okay. The majority of you haven't made candles. Okay. That's good. And I'm happy you're here. You're looking for a new hobby. You just want to learn how to make them. Same. Yep. That's how I got started. And then it looks like the majority, we're kind of like split, like it's almost even for all of these, which makes sense. Um, and then, all right. Well, thank you so much for doing the poll. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now, and I'll share the results with you all. Okay. You can see that. Okay. All right. So let's get started. First of all, feel free to turn your camera on because I would love to know where everyone's from. I don't mind. It's kind of nice to be in the candle house here together. So would love if you want to turn your camera on, that would be great. If not, I understand. Maybe you're multitasking or shy and don't want to show your beautiful face, but totally okay. So once again, I'll make my introduction. Hi, Getty, nice to, thank you. Thank you for showing, I love it. Thank you, appreciate you. My name is Christine Trinidad. I'm the owner of Bella Bay Candles, and I started this business about 2.5 years ago. And I am curious, I'd like to know if everyone could put in the chat, where are you from? Because I know when the registration went through, it's just emails and first and last name. So I don't know if you're in the US or you're outside of the US, but would be great to know where everybody's from. So if you just want to enter where you're from there while I continue to dive in. Oh, nice. Long Beach, California. Hello. Awesome. Awesome. All right. All right. So I'm based out of the greater Chicago area in Illinois. So all of the candles are hand. Oh, we've got Italy. That's exciting. UK, Colorado. Love it. Love it. Awesome. This is great. I'm excited. I'm meeting you all from all different parts of the world. That is exciting for me. So I have a kind of a pop quiz before we get started because I'm curious if you guys checked us out and checked our website. And whoever answers this first will receive a candle refill kit that we offer, and I'll show you what it is. We offer refill kits so that we try to be sustainable. And so if you have any candle container that you want to use for your refills, we send this to you. You microwave it. It's super simple, and you have you get a wick, a cotton and a wooden wick, and everything that you need to be able to put inside of your container. So if anyone answers this first, you will receive one of these, and I'll capture your email so that I can get your address to send it to you. All right, so here we go, pop quiz, and you probably weren't expecting that in a candle class, but I'm going to do it anyway. What does Bella Bay stand for? If you've gone to our website, if you've looked up the history of how we got started, what does the VELA? Vela, of course, is Spanish for candle, but it means something more for the business. So does anybody know what that means? I'm waiting. I don't see anybody typing. All right, did I stump everyone? I didn't mean to. All right. So nobody knows. Okay, well, let me tell you what Vela stands for. And it's the whole reason behind the business. Yes, it is a pretty candle, thank you. But it actually, but what Vela stands for, because when I started this business, I wanted it to be about meaningful. and a meaningful connection with making candles and also mental health. How do those two things land together? Well, the V is for vision. So I had a vision of what I wanted to create. E is for empowerment. We're all empowered to take steps and do ththings afraid, even if we don't know in the initial early on, but we try, right? So L is for loved, meaning loving myself, regardless if I make mistakes along the way, giving myself grace. And then A is for acceptance, accepting that possibly at this time, maybe the direction of where the business is going is not, even though I'm trying to get it to a certain direction, maybe it's going another way, but accepting the moment here and now and trying to pivot. Bay is for my granddaughters, Bella, August, and Emery. So that's why Bella Bay is so important to me, because Bella, August, and Emery are under the age of 10. I'm trying to teach them about being entrepreneurs, Hispanic also, and being a woman and female in a very dominated candle industry. So Bella Bay is very important to me. It's my baby. I hold on to it. And everything we do and I do, and my granddaughter Bella, who helps me, we pour everything into making these candles, and we're very mindful of the products that we use. So we're gonna get started. That's a little bit about me. Got my little cheat sheet cards. Okay, so let's start with candle components. I'm gonna pause for a second. Does anyone have any questions before I get started? And do you guys mind if I play a little music as I make the candles? Because when I'm making my candles, I put a little salsa, merengue, bachata, I like to get into that feel. So I'm gonna play a little music. It won't be too loud, but it just gets me into the mood. So give me 1 second. And I'm gonna play one of my favorite singers. He is Mark Anthony. Saw him in concert a couple months ago. Love his music, and so I'm going to be playing that. You probably won't hear it. Okay. You probably can't hear that music, right? Okay. Sorry, I'm using the earpiece. Okay, components. The very basics of making a candle. You need something to melt the wax. What I'm using right now, and I'll turn the screen, is a wax melter. A wax melter you can find on Amazon. You can find it on other candle vendors. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here. It's very hot because I already started the wax, and I'll place it on here. So basically, the candle wax melter is easy to use, and it's better than doing the old school with the double boiler and the hot water, because it's really hard to make the candles. So this one I got from Makesy. I don't know if you guys have heard of Makesy, and it has a spout. So you have your candle wax melter. You need your wax. So the wax that we're going to use today, I'm going to show you two forms of wax, okay? Because sometimes this gets complicated and it shouldn't be. The wax, you can get it in a flake form, or you can get it in a slab form, like this. Depending on the type of candle you want to make, I usually do the flake form. The cutting it in half sometimes it just gets a little challenging with the slab trying to measure it. So we've got our wax. Then you want to understand, okay, what do you want to make? What type of vessel do you want to make your candle in, right? Vessel, candle containers. There's a couple examples. Okay. Make sure that the container that you use is candle safe. You don't want to use wood. You don't want to use plastic. It'll melt. But these tumblers, you can buy these online and look for them. These are all 8 ounces. And then this is a ceramic. I believe this is a 9 ounce. I'm not a person that shops at one vendor, because I believe that all the vendors have different types of things, and I like to mix it up. All right, so these are the candle containers. So for today, we're gonna make this one, the amber, and we're gonna make this one, okay? The next thing we need is our wicks. So this is dependent upon what you like. It's not set in stone of like, oh, cotton is better than wood. It's just your preference. I like the wood because the wood, there we go. The wood wicks, they make this crackling sound. It's really cool. And it's very relaxing. Let me just so you guys can see. Okay. So the wood wicks that I use look like this. And then the cotton wicks, I get it from a local supplier in Illinois. It's just easier and it's less on shipping. If you can find a supplier that is local, you'll save a lot of money on shipping because you'll get dinged with shipping if you're purchasing products that are farther away from your state. So then you have a candle and you have a wood, and then you have the cotton wick. These are lead free, and it's on your preference. These don't make a sound. These do. So it's paying your preference. So I'm going to pause for a second. Anyone, any questions, comments, concerns? Oh, okay. The U.S. was a long way. How do you know the question? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Yeti. Yep, yep. Okay, so what type of wax is that? Yes, good point. The wax that I have, this is a coconut soy wax. So there's different types of waxes, okay? You can do just soy wax. If you're starting off as a candle maker, I recommend just the soy wax. It's just easier to melt and to measure your fragrance oils, and it's just easier to use. As you get more acclimated and using, making candles more, you can use like a coconut soy or coconut apricot, but it's really your preference. I kind of just, oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, you can unmute.
Oh, so that's what I have. I have a coconut soy wax right now.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I have. And then I just ordered different kinds of wicks because
Love
I
it.
guess you have to do the testing to see which one works best.
Good point. Yes, yes. And I was about to get to that, but thank you for bringing it up. Testing, testing, testing. Oh my gosh, I still test. Whenever you're going to try a new blend of fragrance oils in the wax, you always want to test it because there's so much dynamics to it. It's not complicated, but it's like making sure you have the right ratio of the wax to the oil, making sure that you're melting your wax at a certain temperature and then a certain temperature when you're pouring. Now, if you see videos out there of if you see videos out there, let me tell you, they range from like 180 degrees all the way to 200. Pouring could be 150, 165. Some people say pour it right away. It's really, it's how you make it and how it turns out. I don't think there's a set in stone. There's kind of a guideline, but we can deviate from the guideline, and I always deviate from the guideline. Thank you. That's a great question. Thank you so much. Okay, so we talked about wax. We talked about the wicks. Whenever you're going to make a wood wick candle, you want to make sure that you have a base. Yep, go ahead, Yeti. Your hand is up.
Oh, no, sorry. I forgot to get the hand off.
Ventilation, sorry. Diana. Are you talking about ventilation? I think there's a question about ventilation.
Yes.
Yes.
I do some encaustic painting, and I know ventilation is important because of the materials, but I don't know if that's true of the soy wax.
I mean, the soy wax, that's a great question. The soy wax doesn't have paraffin, and the reason it's used a lot in candle making is because of the fact that it's made from soybeans and it's more eco-friendly. But I do always run a fan and either have a window open just because I just want to be mindful. Sometimes the scent can be overpowering. And when I first started off, I was mixing so many things. So all the fragrance oils that we use are safe, but if you're concerned and you just want to have a little ventilation, that's fine. It's not really necessary, but
okay, thank you.
if you want to. Yeah, you're welcome. That's a great question, Diana. Thank you for asking that question. Okay, so now we've talked about the wicks. You want to have a base for your wick if you're using a wood wick. And the way you do that is just you put the wick and just kind of gently rock it back and forth. And then there you go. You have it in the base. You want to kind of make sure that it's centered. And then you place it on a wick sticker. You can buy these everywhere. I get this from a provider. Most of the items I get are from Illinois. And then you just stick it onto the wick sticker, and then you're just ready to go there. So we've got the wicks. With the cotton wicks, you have a base that's already on there. So you just basically just take a wick sticker and then you just peel it, and then you just stick it on there like that. And then what I usually do if I'm making a lot of candles, I'll like pre-wick things so they're ready to go. So that's why you see some of these things here. So we talked about the wax, we talked about the wicks, we talked about the containers. Now the exciting part, this is like the best part of candle making, the fragrances. So the fragrances vary, right? So you want to make sure that you pick a fragrance or an essential oil that is made for candle making. It's really important because fragrance, that's like the catalyst of the whole candle making. It's like, if you can make a candle that smells great when it's cold, which is called cold throw, and then it smells amazing when you're burning it, it's called hot throw. And that's where the testing part gets in, because there's a formula that a lot of candle makers use, and I'll share that with you. I actually wrote it down too. It's super simple, and that's one of the things I think I struggled with as a candle maker in the beginning, is like, how do I get like the wax to the fragrance oil and stuff like that. So I think what you can do, and what I've learned, and I got this through watching videos as well and just learning on my own. You want to take a look at the fragrance oil and the wax. The wax, when it comes, the wax will have a sheet hopefully accompanied with it, and it'll tell you what the fragrance load is. So let's say it's a 10%. 10% means that if you're making a 9-ounce candle, you want to have 1 ounce of fragrance oil. You can go a little bit over, but the problem is if you put too much oil into your candle, you're going to it's not going to, like, some people think if you put a lot of fragrance oil in it, it's just going to smell so much better. Not the case. Sometimes that doesn't happen. What happens is your candle will start sweating at the top, and it's because there's so much oil that it's just all coming to the top, and you don't want that to happen. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So the fragrance oils that we're going to be using, they're phthalate free. They're nothing bad in them but the oils themselves. They smell great, and they're skin safe. So that's why I don't have any gloves on, because I don't need to wear gloves with these, because they're not toxic or in that. And we don't make candles with fragrance oils that are toxic. So be mindful of the fragrance oils that you buy. I'm going to stop. Any questions? All right. Okay, well, it is Saturday, and I know it's like 4:30, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to give you a quick cheers. I'm going to have a glass of wine because I like doing this when I make candles, so I'm just going to have a little sip. Compliments of my husband. I asked him to bring some wine. Okay, next part. We are going to dive in and make these candles. I'm going to go step by step. I'm going to try to walk you through it. Slow me down if you get stuck, okay? One thing I forgot to mention is that we need a scale. Let me show you the other components before we continue. You want to make sure you have a pitcher that will hold liquids. You want to have a scale, any type of scale. You want to measure, you want to tare it so that it's showing the fluid ounces. That's what you're going to measure the oil with. And then I always have something like a heat safe kind of, I bought these on Amazon to keep and protect the space that I'm using. All right, And then you also need your stir stick. I use a metal stir stick. You can also use a wood stick, and I'm looking for it. It was here. Like a wood bamboo stick. So I'm using that. You want to have some wet cutters or scissors. You can use scissors for that as well. Okay. And then anything else that you're going to be putting in your candles. Okay. So I always like to put a little bit of mica. Mica is super cool. It gives the candle like a super swirly kind of glowy look. And I usually use like a pink or like a very silvery mica. So today we're going to use some mica. And then other things that you can use for your candle. You can, I know a lot of people like to use crystals. So I alternate between the crystals. And depending on the vibe that you're trying to get from your candle, and based on the crystals, you can use the crystals there as well. And you can also use biodegrade, eco-friendly glitter to add a little bling to your candles as well. So those are options. And you can also use some dried botanicals. Okay, let me give you a disclaimer on dried botanicals because there's a lot of stuff out there. You don't want to put a lot of this on here, just a little sprinkle. You don't want to overpower it because you don't want the botanicals to catch on fire. But if you're feeling kind of curious and feel like this is something you may want to do, this is chamomile and these are roses. So I've got that as well. All right, most important. So we're going to get started. We're going to go ahead and if I don't see your question, just unmute yourself and talk to me because like I'm trying to do this, but I want to be mindful that you have questions and I want to make sure that I answer them. So up to this point so far, does everyone know what their candle components are? Are there any questions regarding the candle components? Oh, and a thermometer as well. We need a thermometer because we need to.
Do you need a different kind of wax if you want it to be for like a massage, like to be able to put on your skin as it warms up and it's not just gonna burn you?
Sorry, let me, what was your question again?
Do you need like a different kind of wax instead of the soy? Like does it need paraffin if you're gonna use it to be like a massage one?
If that's your preference, I don't use paraffin, but I think a great alternative would be the coconut soy wax because I
Okay.
find that the coconut soy wax, it can be used as kind of a massage. So what I'm referring to is like when you light the candle, let's say this one was made with coconut soy, okay? This is a wooden wick.
Mhm.
So once you burn it just a little bit, and I'll go ahead and light it because I like to do examples. And if you notice, I'm using one of these because if you just use a match sometimes because with the wooden wicks, they're a little bit in the beginning to try to light, right? So, but they're fun. Okay, so I've got it lit, and this one's actually Urban Umber. This is tobacco, leather, vanilla, and cedar wood. So you could use this as a massage. So what you do is you just kind of let it burn for a little bit. And then once it starts creating like it's called a melt pool, and the melt pool means that it's starting to spread out and melt at the entire rim. So what you do is you could just what I do and what I've done before is just I'll blow out the flame, and then because it's not too hot, it's not bad at all. And it keeps, I mean, there are candle makers out there that use them for massage. So if that's your thing, great. I mean, that's a great market to be in as well. But yeah, that's an example of that. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. That was helpful.
Awesome. Okay, good. I may not have all the answers to your questions, disclaimer, but I will try. Are there any other questions? Like I said, just unmute yourself. This is interactive and I don't want to be the only one talking, but I do want to show. Yeah. Hi, Yeti.
So I have a jar right here that's the diameter, the top is 2.5 or 2.9.
Yep.
Can you
Okay.
see it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so from Candle Science, that's where I started ordering my wicks.
Yeah.
I got a Eco 8 and 10 just
Okay.
to try out both. And then
Okay.
I got an LX 16 and 18.
Okay.
What do you, because as you're showing us, I'm gonna do another practice one while you're showing
Okay.
us.
Yeah.
Which one, what do you think I should experiment with? For
I
the
think,
diameter is like 2.5 to 2.9.
I know that they have a sheet that kind of says like what, based on the diameter,
Yes,
did it
so
give
that's,
you?
yeah, so that's how I bought these. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
So
just,
you,
I was
yeah,
just asking your opinion, if what you
yeah,
would,
you use either one. Let me show you a trick that I've learned how to test candles without you having to make a bunch of candles.
okay.
What you do is that once you pour the wax into your container, okay, and you've mixed the fragrance, you don't wick it. You don't put any wick in here at all. You just
Hmm.
keep it like it's just okay. And then what you do is after it sets for at least 24 hours, you take your wicks, your different wicks, and you just put them in there and you burn them for a little bit, and then you see, is that working? If it's not, you know that you're underwicked. So let's talk about
Okay.
underwick and overwick. Underwick means that your wick is not strong enough to create that melt pool. So that
Mhm.
means you need a larger wick. Um, Overwick means that your flame is super high and you have your wick is just too large for the diameter of your vessel.
Okay.
So I hope that's not confusing. This was something that I learned as I go, but there's so many videos out there that show you how to do that, because I was literally making all these candles and I felt like I was wasting wax because, like, are you serious? I got to test all these things. But yeah, no, you just make your candle with your fragrance, but you just don't wick it. And then you just pour it in that container and then you test the different wicks. And then you'll know, and take notes, write down everything, keep it on either your computer or a notebook, because then you want to remember the percentage that you used, how much wax you used, the container that you used, the wick that you used. And when you're testing, you're like, nope, that didn't work. Nope, that didn't work. And that's what I did in the beginning. I just started doing that. I took different kinds of containers, I filled them with wax and oil, and then I would be just, okay, let me try this wick. No, that didn't work. And so I have like a book, I wrote it down of all the stuff that didn't work and then all the stuff that did work. And that's testing. And testing is going to be part of being a candle maker if you're going
Yes.
to open a business. That's like something you always have to do. So
Yes.
that's a great question.
In your,
All right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry.
I was just going to say, I don't understand how you can put the wick in once it's solidified. Can you explain that?
Oh yeah. Let me find one.
But you don't
So
you can just
no,
tell
no,
me. Yeah.
no, I'll show you. I think I have one here. So basically what I'm saying is that, let's say you have this container, but you don't have the wick in here, right? So
Yeah.
what you would do, if once it's hardened, you would take your wick, and what I do is I use this little metal thing. I'll make a
Okay.
little hole in it, just a little bit, and then I can go ahead and take my wick.
Well, that makes sense to me, but because of the thing that you had on the bottom, I was confused. Is this just for testing, not for a finished candle?
Right, it's for testing, because you want to test
Okay.
you want to test your candle, because if you don't test it and you just make it and then you light it and then it doesn't smell good, or there's no melt pool. So normally what I would do is I would just cut, here's my wick. If I'm using a cotton wick, I would just cut it just a little bit, and then I would just pretend that the wood wick is not there.
Okay.
I would just place it in like this, and then you can push it down. And this is a coconut soy, so it's the wax is always soft, so it's easy. And then you just test it. You burn it for like maybe, I would say burn it for like maybe 30 minutes, and see where it's going. Do you smell it? Is it starting to create that melt pool where it's starting to expand? If it's not, if it doesn't even light, like for a wood wick, forget it. Then you know that you need a larger size wick, because even though there's basics for or standards for how much percentage of oils, all the oils act differently. So like, let's say this candle that I made and it has tobacco, leather, vanilla, and cedarwood. Well, if I use this container, another container, and made a different type of candle with a different fragrance oil, it may not light, even if I use the
Hmm.
same wick and the same
Oh, wow.
thing. Yeah,
Pretty
yeah, 'cause-
complicated, but thank you. I understand.
yeah, yeah. And you know what? It's I know I don't want to make it complicated. It is just I think here's the thing. If you're going to make this a business, test, test, test. Because you don't want to sell a candle to someone that it doesn't smell good when it's cold and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do when it's hot. If you're just making it for fun, you don't need to test. If you're fine with the way the candle is, and if you know it, if it smells okay, but maybe next time you want to make it smell better, then it's all about the fun. Honestly, this is more of just like being in the moment, like being just and that's one of the reasons too that I started this, is like you're just so focused on your components here, and then when you start smelling the fragrance oils, man, it's like you're like, for me, I get chills. I'm lost. I'm like, okay, I'm in heaven right now because like nothing else is bothering me, because right now I think I'm just like in this moment and trying to figure out like having, how's it going to turn out? Like, oh, the scents are good. And let me tell you, the scents, the fragrance oils, oh my gosh, there's so many. There's thousands, okay? Thousands. Not to complicate this anymore, but what I do is I buy the fragrance oils and I hold in-person classes. So we don't get as in depth with the classes. If you do a class with me, it's more of just a fun. We're having like a charcuterie, we're having some wine. I'm just gonna give you the materials, I'm walking you through, but I'm not really like what we're doing now, like going deep dive into it, because um, most people just want to do it for just like fun. They're, groups, parties, couples, whatever. But like there's Merlot. You can make like a wine candle, pomegranate, mountain pine, creme brulee. So I think for today, for the two candles, I'm gonna have you guys vote and let me know. Do you want I can make I've got peppermint and eucalyptus mixed with like an alpine balsam. And I experiment. So please, this is the favorite part of it. I know they talk about top, middle, and the bottom notes. Okay, I throw that out the window. And if I get in trouble for it, I don't care. It is just too much to sit here and try to tell you, okay, so your top note's going to be this, and your middle note's going to be this, and your bottom note's going to be this. And then as you blend everything together, like, how do you know what's coming in first? It's really about just how it smells, really, the fragrance. Sometimes I think it's it's too much in the weeds in that. And I'm like, I want this to be fun. So what I do is I just like, now, don't get me wrong. If you mix sugar cookie with like peppermint and eucalyptus, you're gonna get something maybe a little, I don't know. Let's try it. You might get something that's like, oh, but here's the thing, it's a one of a kind. Nobody is gonna make that candle the way you make it. It's a one of a kind. Now for Vela Bay, I have formulas. So I have candles that I follow the formulas, but they were all done through testing, right? So the candles that we have on our website, I've already gone through the whole testing, and I have my formula of making these candles, and I make them in batches. I don't do one by one by one. No, that's not productive for me because I do have a day job. But yeah, I mean, experiment. So we're going to play around with that. So I say, we're going to mix okay, for the sake of the fall, wherever you are, it's fall over here in Illinois, the leaves are starting to turn, and the weather's a little cooler. I think what we're going to do for the month of October, how about we do cider donuts and pumpkin. I think those smell really good. And then we'll throw a little bit of bourbon in there, make it a little bougie. We'll have a little. So then the second candle, we're gonna do. How about we do tropical? A little bit of tropical. This is still. I wish summer was still here. But hibiscus. We'll do hibiscus. We'll do a little bit of pomegranate. And we will do, moonflower nectar. Got that on Candle Science. I know, Yeti, you said you got some stuff on Candle Science. I do get fragrances
Yes.
there from time to time. And they kind of help you figure out sometimes like what are the best things. But remember, those are all guidelines. You want to make this your own. This is about you. This is about your experience. You making the candles the way you like it. This is not about making the candles the way Christine makes them, but all right, so here's the three. Any questions? I'm really gonna get started now because I know that we have this until I think 5:30, 6 o'clock. Okay, all right. And I'm gonna try to stay in the camera view. So give me some grace because go ahead.
Oh, and then so you were right about how it's good for like relaxation and everything. And you were right, if it's for a business, you know, you kind of approach it a different way. But if it's not
Yeah.
for a business, it's just for yourself, is so much
Yeah.
easier to make for some reason. You know, because you don't
Totally.
really have to get it all perfect, you know?
The pressure, right?
Yes,
Yeah, that's
but it, you
the
know,
thing.
yeah, it's relaxing and it's fun and it's just a stress reliever. But
Yes.
like I said, if you're gonna sell it, because that's what I'm doing for an online class, I'm taking an entrepreneurship class. And I
Love
didn't
it.
know when I took the class, I had to actually make a small business already. So I'm like,
Okay.
oh, well, I'm doing candles. So that's
I
what
love
I'm
it.
starting. So I'm like, I was blessed online today to find you. So you could give me
Oh,
more tips.
thank
Because
you.
I'm gonna be,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna
no,
be
no
selling now.
problem.
So
I'm so happy
thank
to
you.
hear that. And I tell you again, Yeti, like I said, this space is so big enough for everybody. Yes, we have competitors, of course, and I want the business to grow more, and I want eventually to turn it into a candle bar where people come in and learn how to make candles. But yeah, this space is big enough for everybody. So, let's share the information, let's grow. Everybody likes different kind of candles. So
Yeah.
when you start the business, it's like know who your customer is, know the people that you're going to be serving, because you can't be a be all to everybody. It's just impossible,
Yes,
have
that's
your niche.
impossible.
Yeah, do your little niche of what you like and what you think other
Mhm.
people are going to like as far as based on research. But yeah, I hear you, because like we started like a business plan, making sure like, okay, who's our customer? What kind of candles do we want to make? What's the vibe? Some people do crystals. I like crystals, but I don't make them that much in my candles. But other people do, and that's great. Hi,
Yeah.
Brenda.
Hi, Christine. This is excellent. Thank you
Hey.
so much for the information so far. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
Excellent, excellent. I just have a clarification question related to the testing of the wicks. So I'm just trying to understand what is it that we're testing? Are we testing the size of the wick, and as well are we also testing wooden wicks as well?
Yes. Yes to both. So when we're testing, we want to test if depending on the wick that you're using. So if you prefer the wooden wick, then you're testing to make sure that first of all you get a flame, right? It's going to light, and it's going to melt evenly. It's going to expand your melt pool, right? You want to make sure that the flame is not too high, and you want to make sure that you can smell the candle like. And here's the thing, if you want to be also mindful of the room that you're testing, because if you're testing in a room that is if you have a small candle size and you're testing in a large room, you may not get that full scent throughout the whole house, right? Maybe in that specific area. But if your goal is to make a candle where you want to like have the whole room in that specific room smell, then you want to make sure that you're using a larger size diameter here. Like for example, this is a 12 ounce, and this one, when you light it, you can smell it in the room. So what I look for is to make sure that it's lighting properly, that the flame is not too high for the cotton and the wood wick. I want to make sure that it's after about maybe 30 minutes, it's melting properly. And what I mean by melting properly is that it's actually going to melt the entire top here, and then it's going to evenly burn down, because what you don't want is sinkholes. What happens is that when you get sinkholes, that means that the wick that you were using was maybe not the right size. So what happens is that it starts to sink in the middle, and then you have like you have wax all up still at the top, but it's sinking in the middle. So those are sinkholes. So you're checking for that as well. So I hope I answered your question.
That's helpful. And then you were also testing the wood. And so if we're doing this, because I like that idea of not kind of burning through, I guess, all these things if we're testing in that sheet that you showed us. So
Yeah.
how would we do it with the wood? Would we just, because I can understand to cut the others, but what are we doing with the wood in terms of this sheet that you showed us today?
Oh, for testing?
Yes, for testing.
Okay. Yep. So what you do is what I do. Okay. So when I buy the wood wicks, I know that if we size up the wick here, I know that eventually I may have a little bit left over. If I have I have wicks that I use to kind of just for testing only, and I'm mindful because wicks are expensive, especially the wood wicks are a little bit more expensive than the cotton wicks. So what I do is I'll just cut it like maybe halfway with the scissors or wick cutter, and then what I do, because the coconut soy wax is soft, and let's pretend that this wick is not here, okay? What I do is I just kind of look in the center and I'll just press in the wick, and it'll go in smoothly.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I wish someone would have told me this
Yeah.
when I first started making candles. It's like, I was like burning all this wax and like
Yeah.
it's like, whoa. And then someone finally shared, they shared and said, okay, so yeah. So then once you have it there, you can light it. Now, if you feel like it's working, all you have to do is what I do to pull it out. I usually have like a tweezer, and I'm looking for my tweezers. I use tweezers, or I'll just pull it out myself once it's not hot. See if I can pull this baby out. Oh boy. Okay, see, I'll pull it out, but you want to use like a tweezer, because honestly, you don't want to use, yeah.
Okay.
And then, go ahead.
That's helpful.
Yeah, use tweezers. Don't use your hands unless it's not super hot. Disclaimer. So I don't want anyone to burn their fingers or hurt themselves. But yeah, so, and then what you can do, what I do is once I pull the wick out, and let's say, and I'm just using this one for an example, pretend that the wick is not here. I take a heat gun, and I'm just going to show this to you later, but I'll show it to you now. You get a heat gun, you put it on low, and then what you do is you start to, once the wax is hardened, you want to melt the wax again, just the top of it to clean it up so that it's smooth for the next testing. And what this will do is it'll melt the top of the wax. And once you do that, once it's melted and it's like even, then you just let it cool off and sit, and then you can do your next test of your wick. So you're always using the same vessel, but you got to remember that you have to remember that what fragrance oil you're using and what type of wax you were using, because you're testing the wick for that specific formula of oil and wax. So if you're going to make a different type of candle with a different type of wax, with a different type of fragrance oil, then you want to make sure that you test the wicks in there as well, because this is just specific to that one fragrance oil blend and that wax.
Excellent.
I'm-
Thank you.
Yay, okay, happy to answer your question. All right. It is almost 5 o'clock over here. I want to be mindful of your time. What other questions do you have before we get started with pouring the wax? I'm excited. I want to start blending. Any questions? All right. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing we're going to do, we have our oils. I'm going to place them here for right now. Here's a tip. If you forget the size of your container, you can place it on a scale, carry your scale, and make sure it's on fluid ounces. You pour water into it. You can pour water that you'll know how much wax you're going to need, because when the wax melts, it's liquid form. So if you forget how much, that's just a tip. So I know that for this, this is actually from Candle Science as well. I bought this maybe a year ago. We don't sell these anymore, but I figure we use this one because it's a ceramic. I know that this ceramic one, I believe, is about 9 ounces. So I'm going to go ahead. So here's where we're going to do a little bit of the, not the hard part, but the kind of, we're going to do like a chandler here. I know that I want to fill it to 9 ounces, but I also want to make sure that I have enough oil so that it smells good. So what I do is I grab, let me grab my second. Okay. 1 second. I need to get the little container that I put it in. It's called a jigger, but you can use a plastic cup. Sorry about that. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. All right. This is called a jigger. It's a metal base. You can also use a glass. These are called Anchor. You can buy these on Amazon. You can buy anything on Amazon, but or get them through a local provider. What I do is when I'm creating a fragrance blend, I'll place the container here, the little, I'll tear it out to 0. And I think we were going to do the moonflower, the pomegranate, and the, well, not the pumpkin. We're going to do hibiscus. Okay, so this is the fun part. And this is the part, like if you go to a candle bar or you go to like someone hosts, like maybe me at your place, this is the fun part. So what you do is that you want to use like one of these little, they're like these little scent, they're paper scent things that you can stir, but also get a whiff of the scent. So what I do is I just kind of go, let me pour a little bit of the pomegranate, a couple drops. Then I pour a little bit of the hibiscus. What I'm trying to do is get to 1 ounce. But before I get there, I'm going to stir it. So I want to see what it smells like before I start adding equal parts. So I'll stir it for a little bit. Oh wow, this one smells amazing. Yeah, this one's good. So I like the scent. It seems pretty strong. It's very tropical. So what I do is I just start then putting a little bit each, pouring. I get a little messy sometimes. So I'm trying to get it to 1 ounce. Question? Okay, I'm close. Oops. All right. I'm gonna stir it. Oh man, I wish everyone could smell this scent right now. It's amazing. But if you're following along, go ahead and start measuring out your fragrance oil to at least 1 ounce if you're making a 9 ounce candle. Okay, so I've got my oil here. I'm gonna put that to the side. All right. I'm checking my wax melter. I'm taking the lid off. So these wax melters, even though you can adjust the temperature, and I know that you can't see it, let me see if I can turn so you can see the wax melter. For those of you that didn't see it in the beginning, I'll lift it up. Oh, you can't see it. Okay, let's do this. You're not going to see me anymore, but you're going to see what I'm doing. So this wax melter over here, there we go. It has a little spout and it has temperature. I don't trust that the temperature is going to be what it says on the spout. So what I do is before I even, 1 second, okay. Before I measure it out, I'm going to check the temperature. Okay, so we're going to take the thermometer. Oh, here we go. Take your thermometer, depending on what kind of thermometer you have. I set it to Fahrenheit. And then what I do is that I place it in the wax melter just to kind of confirm and get a gauge of where the temperature's at. I'm going to place the wax. I want the wax to come out at least between 185 and 190 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's getting close. So what I'm going to do is then go ahead and take your container, tear your scale so that it says 0 for your fluid ounces. Tear it again. Now, if you're adding mica, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of mica. The mica that I use, you can find it anywhere. It's not harmful. It doesn't take away from the candle. It kind of gives it a little bit of like a little sparkle, a little bling bling. So I pinch and I just do that just a little bit. It's like a pinch. It's like when you're cooking, just a little pinch. Not a lot. You don't want to overpower it because then you will not be able to smell your scent. Okay, and then what I do is I take my container. I take another container. I do 2 containers because I'm going to go ahead and pour out and measure the wax. All right. I'm going to pour it in. And what I want to do, because I'm making a 9-ounce candle, and I'm going to use 8 ounces of wax because that 1 ounce of fragrance oil will equal the 9 ounces. So I'm going to pour. Okay. My 9 ounces. I'm sorry, my 8 ounces. You're going to take your fragrance oil and you're going to take your stir. And here's a tip. Pour it in, but don't stir it fast. Stir it slowly. If you stir it, then the whole reason for the stir, you want to do the stir for at least 3 minutes. And that's for the fragrance oil to bond with the wax. If you do it less than that, no guarantees. So that's kind of like a standard. Now, if you feel like stirring for 5 minutes, go ahead. It's up to you. I usually do like 3 to 4 minutes. So you can see the wax. It smells amazing. So this is like the part where take a deep breath in. I have my timer. I do a timer. You can use like a little those little sand things that you turn upside down. So I put the timer on. Let me make sure I got it. It's getting there. It's getting there. Okay, got my timer on my phone. All right. 3 minutes, okay. And this is the part where you just kind of, this is the pause part. This is the part where this is your time, you know? I just focus on, I love the scent. You know, I'm smelling it. I'm thinking, who am I going to give this candle to? What stuff am I going to put on it? And I'm just like in the moment, and I'm not thinking about anything else but just the stirring and the sounds. Kind of like that ASMR thing, you know, you're just like, and I think this is one of the reasons why I got into candle making too, is because it just it's so relaxing. And if you're doing this along with me, I'm sure you can like feel the, you can smell the scent, you know, you can just, I don't know, it's just, it's a very therapeutic and kind of Zen-like thing, and it's good for mental wealth. And you know, I'll share with you guys that, you know, as most of you probably went through something like during COVID, everything was kind of a hot mess, and I was really all over the place. And I work in tech during the day, so really stressed out and trying to figure out, like, always wanting to start a business, but what type of business did I want to start? And I just by chance watched someone make and said, I can do that. And then I looked at all my Bath and Body candles and said, what is in those candles? Because not to shame them, but like, what is in the candles? Like, how can they mass produce all these candles and they smell amazing, but like, what are they made of? And they have a lot of things that are not safe. And, you know, I have my granddaughters and we're here and we were stuck in home, and, not being able to like be out in the world. So I wanted to be mindful of the stuff that was burning in my house too. So yeah. All right. So I think we're close. Close to the 3 minutes. Okay. So what we're going to do is now we're going to set it to the side. We're going to take our thermometer, and I have another thermometer here, and I'm going to just move the scale out of the way for a second. Okay. I'm going to put this to the side. My oils to the side. I want to go ahead and wick my container, and you probably should have done that in the beginning, but that's okay because I like to let this set and cool for a little bit. I want it to be at a temperature of at least 150, 160 before I pour. I'm not straight. I don't do the it's hot and just straight into the container. That's kind of like, I don't know, I just like let it sit there for a little bit. So here's my container. This is the ceramic container. Really important that I forgot to mention is that you want to make sure if you are gifting this to anyone, or if you are having a business, really important that you put one of these things, which is the safety, because when you gift this or you sell this, you are saying, warning, you have a candle, be careful where you burn it. Don't burn it for more than 4 hours at a time. And, you are responsible for wherever you burn this candle, for the consumer. So, and it's just, it's good practice, and it's important to have these. So if you're going to have a business or gift these out, make sure that you get one of these warning stickers. You can find these, you can make these yourself. There's a lot of templates out there. You don't have to buy them. I do a little bit of both, but for purposes of today, I just use the one that's already made. All right. Are you guys still with me? Are you there? I feel like I've lost some people. And that's okay. Hopefully this is
Here.
okay. I'm hoping that this is kind of giving you a little nibble here and there of like I mean, this was never meant to be about, it was never meant to be about, how to start your business to be a candle maker. It's more of just, hey, how do you learn to make a candle? So what I like to do, and the reason I said to have some alcohol is like rubbing alcohol, not like alcohol, although I do have some alcohol, but this is just a fun thing. I spray a little bit inside because you never know with these containers, wherever you've had them, you want to make sure they're free of any type of dust or material or anything inside. I just clean it out. you know, clean it out with the alcohol. You can use a cloth, a soft cloth. I use paper towels because I'm not scratching it. And when I am doing the candles, I actually do wear gloves. But for the purposes of today, because it's just a demonstration. I wear gloves because I want to be mindful of when my customers are receiving the candles that there's no smudge marks on it or nothing, like they're in pristine, good condition. All right, so then to wick it, we're gonna use, should I use wood or cotton first? What do you want me to use? Wood, okay, cool. All right, we're gonna use wood. Okay, so for the wood, I've already have it ready to go, but basically what I did is I put the wood wick in the base, wiggled it in, placed it on a wick sticker. And here's the part that a lot of people go crazy about, including me in the beginning. I was like, how am I ever going to center this wick? Because it's hard when you have one of these things and you can't really see, like some of the clear ones you can, right? You can see the clear and kind of eyeball it. Oh man, but for these, forget it. So what I did is I actually purchased this little thing here. And it's kind of, it's a wick, it helps me, it's a guide. I place it, it's made out of wood. You can find these online too. I place it inside the container. Okay, so it's in the container. And then the circle is where I'm gonna put the wick. So it's perfectly centered. And then what you do is kind of just, here's the thing though, you have to like get a little thing to kind of pop it out. There you go, it's out. Now, if you don't want to, if you're not concerned about it being perfectly centered, and to be honest with you, when I go to candle places, I see wicks that are not perfectly centered. And these are like at Trader Joe's, stores, you know, it's like, wow, like I know these are hand poured, but like if I'm gonna send you a candle, it's gonna be perfectly centered. It's just my thing, but it is centered. All right, so now we're ready to pour the wax. And let's make sure that our wax is at the temperature that we need it to be. So I'm gonna grab, now the reason I use 2 thermometers is because I don't want to use the same thermometer that's already in the fragrance oil, because then I'm gonna put it back in the wax melter and that fragrance oil is gonna go back into that wax that I'm using, the fresh wax. So I just use another thermometer and I just measure it out to make sure that it's at least, gotta be at least 150. So it's getting there. All right. Okay. It's a little bit below 150, so it is time. We don't, so the thing is, you don't want the wax to get too cloudy because then it will be hard to pour into your container. So then what you do is you just, and here's another tip, don't pour the wax on the wick. I did this in the beginning. I would pour the wax and it would hit the wick. You don't want to do that. You want to pour it away from the wick. You want to pour it slowly. And the reason is that if you saturate that wick, it's not going to light properly. And that was one of the things when I was first making candles. I'm like, why is this thing not lighting? So there you go. Now I have a little bit of wax left over. What I usually do with the wax left over is I make wax melts. So if you have like clamshells, I'll pour those into a clamshell and that way I can put it in a wax warmer and I have that as well. I don't have enough right now, but let me see if I can pour it. And when you're pouring it in, you want to make sure that you have it, don't pour it to the very top. You want to give at least like 3/6, if you can see this. You want to make sure that it's not to the top because when you light, you want to give enough room for the wick to light and so that it burns properly. If you fill it all the way to the top, it's not going to burn properly. And that was another thing when I first started that I did a lot, is like fill it to the top. But I don't do that anymore, and it's really helpful. So we've got our first candle here. So we're gonna let that set. So here's another thing. They say, oh, you can light it the next day, wait 24 hours. I haven't found anything that says like, this is the rule, this is the way. I'll wait for a day. But what I do is if I have orders, I always pre-make things, pre-make the candles so that when an order comes through, I can fill it right away. I do have some candles though sometimes that I do have to make. They may be special one-offs. And so I will at least give it a day. So that's why I always say like give it 1 to 3 days processing time. So that way you get your candle to you. And this one smells so good. Oh my God, so good. This one smells amazing. So I'm gonna place this one to the side. Okay, any questions so far on that? Okay, I know we've
I'm
got
sorry. Yeah,
about,
I do have a question. I'm not sure why, sorry, it won't be too long. The, are the fragrances all in different types of oil? Is that why you have to test each combination separately, or is it just the whatever the makes the fragrance, like lavender, whatever, that affects the burning?
so that's a great question. You know, scientifically, as far as the oils, I think it's just, okay, let's say if you're just making one, even if you're just making one fragrance, like let's say pumpkin,
Mhm.
it smells great when it's in the oil form, but like what does that look like and smell like when it's mixed with a wax? And what temperature did you burn the wax? And what kind of wick are you using? So all those dynamics are into play, and that's why you do test, because certain wax certain oils may not be good for certain waxes. They may not smell as strong as maybe another wax. So that's when you're like playing around with you're experimenting with the different waxes. So you know, aha, that wax actually works great with this scent. So that's the wax that I'm going to use, you know.
Okay,
So
thank you. I understand.
yeah, no problem. That's a great question. These are good questions. Keep
Thank
asking
you.
them, please. Yeah, that's why we're here.
Mhm.
I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna dive into the next one. So what I do, once again, we're gonna do the, because I want to show you at the end, we're gonna put some crystals on. Check the temperature and make sure it's at least 185, 190. I'm gonna get my second container. This one is just a straight side. This one is 8 ounces glass. And then what I'm gonna do is just put before I put the sticker, here's another tip. Instead of me putting this inside here because it's not gonna fit, place this, see if you can see that. And I'm sorry if my head's getting cut off. Place this at the bottom underneath it so you can see it and it's underneath. So if we're gonna use the cotton wick, I have my cotton wick ready to go. I've already placed it in the wick sticker. And so now I can kind of eyeball it and I see the center. There we go. I can press on it and I didn't have to put this centering tool inside because it doesn't fit. So that's just a tip if you're using a different type of jar. So in order for this to stay, there's different methods that you can use because you notice the wick is going to go side to side and we want it to be centered when the wax is going in. A couple tips. If I don't have a wick centering tool, what I use is one of the stirrers. And you could even do this, you could wrap it around the stirrer if you're like super concerned that it's not going to stay. But I think because this wick is pretty sturdy, I'll do that. However, you can also use, this is called a wick centering tool. It's a metal base. You can see it. And then you could just place it in the center like that, and then it'll hold your wick centered. So we're gonna do that. I'll clear my area. Okay. All right. So now we're going to and thank you for staying along with me. I appreciate you spending Saturday with me. Okay, put that at the bottom. All right, we're gonna mix. We're gonna mix some oils again. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my scale. Here we go. Okay, get my scale. And then I'm going to use my little container. So what I do is if I'm using a new one or the same one, I just spray a little bit of alcohol in it, clean it out. This is if you're doing small. Make sure it's cleaned out. Okay. Place it on the scale, tear your scale. Slow me down if I'm going too fast. And then we're going to start doing the cider donut, bourbon, and pomegranate. All right. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to place a little bit. Oh God. Okay, here we go. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to stir it. Oh, wow. It smells like fall. It's like when you walk into someone's home and they're like baking banana bread, but and like cinnamon, I thought it was pumpkin with apple cider. Oh wait, I thought it was pumpkin with apple cider donut and bourbon. Did I mess it up? Yes, I did. You're right. You are right. That's why it smells weird right now because there's pomegranate in it. Okay, scratch that. Scratch that. It still smells good. This is the experimenting part. This is the fun part. This is where we get creative. However, I will honor what I was going to do, and I'm going to go ahead and get another container to put the oil in. And thank you for keeping me honest. I appreciate that. Let's do that. Okay, here we go. So I said I was doing apple cider, donut, and bourbon. So cider, bourbon. Where's my apple cider? Here, 1 second. Okay. Pumpkin, here we go. I got it. Got it. I got you. Okay, here we go. Yes. All right. Pumpkin. A little bit of pumpkin. Cider. Bourbon. Cider donut and bourbon. Cider donut has a little bit of apple in it. Okay, I'm gonna stir it. Oh, okay. Okay, so here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. The bourbon, it overpowers it. And I want to smell a little bit more of the pumpkin. So here's the part where you're experimenting. Okay, bourbon, I think I'm gonna put you away because it just overpowers. I'm gonna put a little bit more pumpkin. I love pumpkin. Let's see what it smells like now. A little bit better, but something's still overpowering it. So I'm gonna put a little bit more cider donut. Let's see. Okay, that smells better. That smells more pumpkin-y cider. I think the bourbon can be a little bit overpowering, so use it with caution unless you want to make a straight up bourbon candle and it'll smell amazing. But I think this is good. So what I'm going to do, since we have about 5 minutes left and I want to be mindful of your time. And if you want to stay on, that's great. Would love for you to stay on, but if you can't, totally understand. we're gonna do this 1 ounce. So I'm just gonna do more of a pumpkin and more of an apple cider, the cider donut one. A bit more, more. And really the way I know it's filled to 1 ounce is that this jigger, once I fill it to the top, I know that it's 1 ounce. It's measured out for that. But I use the scale. I put a little bit bourbon. Okay, so now I'm gonna mix it up. Yeah, that smells better. Okay, put that to the side. Put this aside. Okay. We're gonna measure the wax.
Quick question, the jar, did you say that we could also clean the jar with rubbing alcohol before we use it?
Yeah, I mean,
Or,
I usually put a little bit, just a little bit, or you don't have to. I just put a little, not like a whole bunch. If it's a new jar that you've just purchased,
yes,
you don't have to put it. Then just use like just a paper towel or a soft towel. The reason I did it for this one was sitting up in my, you guys can't see this, but in my home, I actually have a candle room and I have all of the candles lined up and this one was kind of tugged away. So it had some stuff inside it and I just want to make sure that it was clean. It's my preference, but I mean, you don't have to, you could just use a soft cloth. I usually do that.
okay,
But great question.
okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to measure out the wax. Okay, so because this one is 8 ounces. Went a little bit over on the fragrance oil, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna save that fragrance oil, a little bit that's left in it to make a tart. I'm not gonna put the whole full ounce in it. Well, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it. You know why? Because I can do 7-ounce wax and this 1 ounce will be 8 ounces. So we're good. We're good. Ignore me. I'm overthinking this right now. All right, so then I'm gonna get my container. This time I'm gonna use, so you can use different colored micas. I have a pink one, but that's really not gonna go with the theme. So we'll do the pinch again of the, so a little bit like that. Tear my scale to 0 fluid ounces, and we wanna fill this to 7 ounces of wax. I go little by little. Okay, 7.8, a little bit over. What I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be a little bit over on this wax, but that's okay. I'll use it for a tart. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pour it in. And then stir stick. And I always clean the stir stick. I'll clean it off if I'm using the same one because I don't want the fragrance oils to cross-contaminate, to smell different. So we're gonna time this for 3 minutes. So while we're almost at the end of our class, I would love the feedback. I know that there were some glitches in the beginning and I apologize for that. It's the first one. I usually, when we're in person, it's a lot of fun. So if you're thinking about doing this as a business, definitely go for it. There's a lot. I'm a one-woman show right now, so I'm doing sales, marketing, everything. But I am learning so much, and I'm teaching my granddaughter Bella as well. You know, inventory, looking at reports, you know, all that good stuff if you're going to make it a business. But also, I hope that you learned something here today. You know, if you got a little bit of nugget of something that, you know, that I could share with you. I trust that wherever you are in whatever, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know, right? A lot goes into it. And I think I went a little bit more because this is my business, right? So you know, it's very important that I'm doing it right and doing it so that people are, you know, enjoying the candles that they're making. But here's the thing. I believe in sustainability. So we have candle refills that I offer. So once you buy a candle from us, especially like these here, you can order the refills and you pay for less for this candle again, and you can switch up your fragrances. And I'll have a video out there showing you how to clean it, but there's tons of videos that show you how to clean out a candle. It's not like a big secret. Yeah, I love doing this. And I know that at moments it seemed like I was a little scattered. I think it's because I'm new to the virtual part of it, and I just want to make sure like I give you everything, but it's like I feel like I missed something. Hopefully I didn't. Know that if you're just doing this for fun, you know, you just keep doing it over and over and over again. And for me, like I get the chills every time I say this, but I'll be honest with you, this is my therapy. Like this is my therapy. This is my time where I can be either in prayer or reflection, or you know, it just like it keeps me grounded. And you know, you can ask my kids, I talk all things candle and I think I drive them crazy sometimes, but that's okay because this is my thing and we all have a thing. So I think we're close to pouring the candle. For those of you that are going to stay on a little bit more, I just want to show you something really quick on the other candle if you want to stay and watch. I'm going to move the scale. Here we go. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to get my head cut off again, but I want you to see the pouring of it. Okay. There we go. That's better. Okay. So here's our wick centering tool. We're going to pour away from the wick as much as we can. Now, how pretty is that? It's got like a little sparkle to it. That's what I love about the mica. Just gives it a little extra. And you see, I didn't fill it to the top all the way. I want to give enough room. Okay. I have a little bit of wax left over. I'm going to use this for wax melt, but I'm going to put it to the side for right now. You want to let that set. So here's something that you can do with your candle once it's almost done setting. We're going to put this one to the side. Okay. There we go. Okay. You see how this one, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to turn it just a little bit. This one is kind of set, but not fully set. So this is the part where you can add some stuff to it. If you want to add crystals, you can. I'll use purple because I like the color purple. And what you do is just kind of sprinkle it ever so gently on the top. And then this is how you make your crystal candle. And you can mix the different kind of color crystals. And you want to make sure that it's not too super loose at the top. And I'm gonna go ahead and tilt it just a little bit. Or actually, I'll do this. I'm gonna take my computer so you can see the top. Hopefully you can see the top of that. There we go. So yeah, you can do that right when it's about to set. And the last thing you do is once it's set, you just want to cut your wick. So if it's a wooden wick, let me show you a quick tip for when you're cutting it. You don't want to cut it too short, but you don't want to keep it too tall because the flame will be super high. You want to do like maybe 3/4 of an inch. I kind of know already because I eyeball it already. In the beginning, I did not, but you want it to be like it's showing, let's see, like that. So it looks like that. And then labels, whatever label you want to put on it. I'm not going to give you like guidelines for that. There's so many different ideas for labels. I usually don't put labels on these because if you want to reuse it, you can just tear off this part and just reuse it for whatever. So that is Candle Making 101 with Vela Bae. I appreciate everyone who stayed over. I thank you for your time spending this Saturday afternoon with me. I trust that you've learned something here to take with you as far as doing your own candle stuff if you decide to do a business. And please, please, please follow us on Instagram. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I want to do more of these. Would love your feedback. Hey, I'm open to anything. I mean, that's how we grow. So none personally not taken. I love all the feedback because it helps me as a business owner. And I just trust that wherever you are today, that the universe has something good for you, and that I believe that we're all here together for a purpose. And I trust that you'll take you've learned and just continue to expand into whatever, if you're going to do a business or if you're going to just make it for family and friends. Hey, the holidays are coming up. What a perfect way to give to your friends and family. So thank you so much. Thank you for putting up with my quirkiness, with just everything. This has been fun, but also I'm not gonna lie, I was like, can I do this? Yes, we can do the hard things, because that's the only way we can grow. Remember what Vela stands for: vision, empowerment, love, and acceptance. Always carry those things with you, because we need to give each other grace and give grace to ourselves as well. And that's so important. So please remember that. I wish you all the best. And it was so much fun pouring candles with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. You did a great job. You have a great
Oh.
personality for this.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great to meet all of you guys, and follow us. We're always coming up with new things, and I'll maybe do another class. Who knows? Take care.
Yes,
Be
thank
blessed.
you. It was great.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
weekend.
You too. Thank you.